Cameraman, are we all ready? We are all ready to go. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the media. On behalf of the National Democratic Congress, I would like to welcome all of you to today's edition of our Moment of Truth series. The Moment of Truth platform is a platform where the National Democratic Congress engages with you, the media, and by extension the entire nation, to share with you our perspectives on issues of national importance. And during such engagements, as you are all aware, we serve you with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that is precisely what we'll be doing today. Today, we will be addressing you and by extension the entire nation on the state or the health of the Central Bank of Ghana. As you may be aware, the 2022 annual reports and financial statements of the Bank of Ghana is out, and that report has outraged the entire nation and has attracted a lot of commentaries. Today we share with you the official position of the NDC caucus in Parliament and the NDC party. But before I introduce our speaker for this afternoon, permit me to acknowledge media networks who are streaming this all-important press engagement on their highly esteemed platforms. To start with, we are live as always on Weasel TV. We are also live on TV3. We are live on TVXYZ and Power FM. We are live on Loud Silence platforms on social media. We are live on GH1 Television, Pan-African Television, Radio Gold, Accra FM, Class FM, CTV, Metro TV, UTV, Kesbin FM and Kesbin TV, both in Accra and in Kumasi. And for stations who may want to join the live streaming, you can get a live feed on Weasel or a clean feed on satellite on the broadcast channel on Multi TV. Having said so, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, I will introduce to you our speaker for this afternoon. This man was the Deputy Minister for Finance when the NDC was in office between 2013 and 2016. And as Deputy Minister for Finance, he was a representative of the Finance Minister and the government on the board of the Bank of Ghana. He's been ranking member for Finance for the NDC in Parliament, and currently he is the leader of the NDC caucus in Parliament. He is ably supported by his colleagues who are here to back him. I've seen the Member of Parliament for Sujaman, Honorable Ampem Dakon. A round of applause for them. They are doing a yeoman's job. Please get me one more chair here. Get me one more chair for Honorable Richard, the champion, who is also a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. We have the Member of Parliament for Dudu, Honorable Nilante Vandapoy, my senior brother. Yes. And the Bank of Ghana is located in its constituency. So that's the whose constituency of the Bank of Ghana. Then we have Honorable Yusuf Jaja, our Member of Parliament for Ayawaso North. Yes, we have the Member of Parliament for Garu constituency in the Upper East region, Honorable Albert. Yes, is also here. Thank you very much. We'll be introducing others as they join. So as I said, our speaker today is well versed in financial issues, former Deputy Minister of Finance, former rep of the Finance Minister and the government on the board of Bank of Ghana, former ranking member for Finance, and currently the MP for Ejumako Enyan CM in the Central Region, and the leader of the NDC caucus, Honorable Dr. Atofos, and a round of applause for him. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great and heavy heart and great sorrow that we welcome you to this critical press briefing. The Bank of Ghana, which is our central bank and the lender of last resort, has been dealt a catastrophic blow by the reckless, cruelest, and criminally minded NPP mismanagers of our economy. And this has necessitated an urgent call to save the Central Bank of the Republic of Ghana. Many media houses, including those of you here, have in the last week covered the sad and pathetic story of the Central Bank following the release of the annual report of the Bank of Ghana for the year 2022. Everyone who understood the crucial role of the Bank of Ghana will be rightly worried about this development. It is a total disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, unless we take an urgent and drastic action, these reckless, clueless, and criminally minded NPP mismanagers of the economy have laid the final groundwork for the collapse of our financial system and the economy, which will worsen the already horrible conditions of the Ghanaian people. We in the NDC saw the red flags and have consistently warned of the mismanagement of the financial sector by the governor of the central bank and his team of incompetent deputies. This mismanagement was anchored on the jaundiced supervision by Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, who is the brain behind the MPP's economic mismanagement team. Colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, only this week, in fact last week, the annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana was released. This report depicted the catastrophic decline of the Central Bank of Ghana into a bottomless pit. The report revealed the following astonishing facts. 1. The Bank of Ghana recorded a staggering loss of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent of $6 billion US. This is twice the amount we are to receive from the recent IMF bailout. 60 billion Ghana cedis, representing $6 billion US, meaning this is twice the amount we'll be asking the IMF to give to us. This simply means that the reckless and mismanagement of the governor of the Bank of Ghana has costed the nation twice what we are struggling and sacrificing to receive from the International Monetary Fund amid its major conditionalities. Colleagues, the Bank of Ghana has also recorded a negative equity of over 55.1 billion Ghana cedis. This simply means that the Bank of Ghana is currently bankrupt, or in other words, insolvent. In other words, the once prestigious Bank of Ghana, the mother of all banks in Ghana, have been bankrupted and collapsed by the NPP economic management team led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with the complicity of the governor of the central bank and his deputies. Friends from the media, many questions have been asked about how we arrived at this gloomy and sad situation, with some expressing surprise at the state of affairs of the central bank. For us in the NDC, the disaster did not come as a surprise. In fact, we in the NDC minority have always known that the Bank of Ghana was being mismanaged. We have made this point time without number, that the Bank of Ghana is a classic example of how not to manage an economy. The NDC party is on record to have informed Ghanaians on countless occasions that the Bank of Ghana has been on a dangerous trajectory, and indeed, it has now become a crime scene with the dire consequences for us all. Fellow countrymen and women,
After the inept and clueless finance minister overborrowed and got Ghana locked out of the capital market due to our unsustainable debt obligations, the NPP government chose the easy, reckless, lazy, and criminal path of printing money. Unfortunately, this is how the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, who is now known as the printer of money, has conspired with members of economic mismanagement team led by Alhaji Dr. Bawumia and the inept finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta, aka One Program, One Bond, to destroy Ghana's central bank. After this dastardly act of overlending to the government by the central bank, they then proceeded to do the unthinkable. And the unthinkable is to write off a whopping 48.4 billion Ghana cedis, about half of Ghana's government indebtedness, to the central bank without parliamentary approval. This is illegal and criminal, and the NDC members of parliament will not allow this to pass. In fact, we will resist this. Both the mismanagement of the economy and our finances, the spectacular recklessness and ineptitude of the governor and his team has called into question the wisdom of leaving him at the helm of affairs of the central bank. We now present to you the manifestations of the mismanagement and the ineptitude and the potential corruption at the Bank of Ghana, which was revealed by the 2022 annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana. 1. The report revealed that millions of Ghana cedis have been wasted on frivolous administrative expenses. The Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 131.6 million Ghana cedis on motor vehicle maintenance and its running in the year 2022 alone. In fact, this represents 114% increase over the previous year's expenditure on the same line item. Similarly, foreign and domestic travels of the Bank of Ghana cost the taxpayer a staggering 97.4 million Ghana cedis, which again is an increase of 246% over the previous year's expenditure. The Bank of Ghana also dissipated another 8.6 million Ghana cedis on directors' remuneration alone. This represents about 87% increase over the previous year's expenditure. Directors' remuneration, 8.6 million Ghana cedis. If you are to compare this to the previous year, this represents 87% increase over the previous year. This simply means that Ghanaians were charged a mismanagement fee to deliver the collapse of the central bank. The Bank of Ghana further claimed to have spent a colossal 357.9 million Ghana cedis on banking supervision expenses for the year 2022 alone. The report further disclosed that the Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 67.9 million Ghana cedis on computers expenses alone, whilst communication expenses also amounted to 32 million Ghana cedis. Communication alone, just to meet the press, they spent 32 million Ghana cedis for 1 year, the year 2022. The report further disclosed that an undisclosed expense of 287.8 million Ghana cedis was paid, undisclosed. They could not account for 287 million Ghana cedis. I beg to ask, is the central bank the Ministry of National Security? It's only the National Security that can announce an amount that is undisclosed. So an amount of 287.8 million Ghana cedis that they have failed to disclose to the auditors begs for certain questions. We also saw in the report that the Bank of Ghana indeed spent an amount of $2 million on gold watches alone. I don't know who they bought the watches for, whether it's for the governor and the deputies. $2 million only on watches. Perhaps the more troubling fact is that, having brought the Bank of Ghana to this terrible financial state, the governor and his deputies have found it prudent and expedient to invest $250 million, representing almost 3 billion Ghana cedis, on another head office building somewhere at Rage. In our circumstances, This is the height of insensitivity in the management of the financing of a troubled country. A country that is in a major crisis. You have decided to award a contract worth $250 million US, representing approximately 3 billion Ghana cedis, for the purposes of getting yourself a new head office. We believe that this is insensitive and it is not right for the governor of the central bank to go into this expedition at this time. The Bank of Ghana's illegal printing of money is responsible for the depletion of Ghana's external reserve, which resulted in the unprecedented depreciation we saw in the year 2022, which obviously is the main cause of the hyperinflation of 54.something% we saw in the year 2022. It is important to state that the governor of the Bank of Ghana breached Section 37 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2012, Act 612, and Section 60 of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act 2016, Act 918. In fact, the governor breached the laws of the central bank, which calls for urgent action against the governor of the central bank. An estimated 850,000 people were further reported by the World Bank recently that this singular act of the Bank of Ghana has pushed them down the poverty line as a result of the hyperinflation that the central bank caused in the year 2022. Clearly, there's blood on the hands of the governor of the central bank and his deputies. It is now obvious that many more members of the Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia government will likely be keeping several more millions of dollars in their bedrooms and building a war chest to illegally buy electoral votes at both party primaries and the upcoming general elections in the year 2024. We will not be surprised that if members of the economic management team involved in this contest makes a strong showing, I won't be surprised at all, because clearly everything shows that maybe it's not only Madam Cecilia Dapa who has kept some money in her bedrooms. We in the NDC will continue to explore ways of rescuing this country to prevent it from the doom that has befallen several West African countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the IMF had made an offer to assist the government to develop a plan for recapitalization of the central bank. And that is why paragraph 18 of Ghana's Memorandum of Economic and Financial Policy, the MEFP, sent to IMF, stated this fact. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen of the media, fellow countrymen and women, let me assure you that very soon Ghanaians will be made to pay for Bank of Ghana recapitalization levy, a tax to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana. So as we speak, because the central bank has collapsed virtually. It is, however, our position that we have so recklessly, the government of Ghana has so recklessly mismanaged the central bank and brought it to its knees and cannot remain at the helm of affairs of the bank without being held accountable. Those who have led this reckless and criminal conduct unleashed economic hardship and financial distress on the suffering people of Ghana must be held accountable on this particular action. In fact, impunity of the highest order can no longer be tolerated by the suffering masses of Ghanaians. We must not allow this dangerous precedent to be set for future leaders. In this regard, we in the NDC call for the immediate resignation of the governor of the central bank and his deputies within 21 days from today. We are resolved to embark on popular action to occupy the central bank and drive out the team of inept, callous, and criminally minded mismanagers of our finances to save the Bank of Ghana. What we will do is that the march will ensure accountability. Colleagues, the march to ensure accountability will begin in 21 days if the governor of the Bank of Ghana does not do the needful and pack bag and baggages out of that sacred institution that he has unfortunately mismanaged. Dr. Ernest Addison and his deputies must go. There has to be an end to this impunity now. fellow countrymen and women, let us arise and save the Bank of Ghana. This is the only bank we have that belongs to us directly. The central bank has a big role to play. We cannot allow the Bank of Ghana to be managed and be drawn to this level. We call on all of you that if the governor fails to act by resigning, you join us to march to occupy the Bank of Ghana in 21 days' time, to force him out and to force his deputies out, because we cannot allow this to continue. Arise for Ghana. Fellow countrymen and women, arise for Ghana. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Okay, so before we do our usual tree presentation, we will take questions. Please, I know some of you just came. Let's restrict the movements. We are not done. There are very important issues to still discuss. So if you have a question here and you're a media man, only media men can ask questions. Just raise up your hand. You tell us your name, your media organization, and you keep your question very crisp. Let me start with you, my brother. Hold on. Let's have the spare microphone for that. So, leader, just take down the questions. How many questions, by the way, do we have? One here. Only two? Two. Okay. All right.
Right. My name is Eric Mawenegbeta with TV3. So my question is to the minority leader. Is it the case that in 21 days, that's when some action can be taken? I ask this question in relation to previous engagement with the Bank of Ghana. The now ranking on the Finance Committee has had cause to raise concerns as to how the central bank governor has not honored invitations by Parliament over certain matters. And so is it because of that that you are resorting to a march instead of other pressing areas where you can demand accountability? And then lastly, on one of the reasons why the Bank of Ghana itself has explained why we are here has to do with the printing of money, as has been suggested by Dr. Atoforsen. What has the minority done? It's a critical question that's been asked because clearly you say the Bank of Ghana has violated the country's laws, and yet nothing has been done in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kweku Asante, Joy FM. Some of the allegations against the Bank of Ghana governor borders on breach of law and even criminality. But from marching to the BOG head office to demand that he resigns, what measures will they take in Parliament to ensure accountability, either to get him to answer specifically if there are criminal questions to answer, and specifically when it comes to the breaches of the law, what are the consequences spelled out? Things.
All right, is that all? Okay, so the minority leader will deal with these questions, after which we will do the tree presentation. Thank you.
So let me start with the last one. The issue of what we can do as parliamentarians. Yes, the governor has breached the law, and Section 30 and Section 60 of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act is clear on this matter. He can only print to support government expenditure using 5% of previous year's revenue as the benchmark. Unfortunately, the governor did 7.2% of GDP, representing about 30% of previous year's revenue. So he has not just breached it lightly, but you could see that he deliberately did this. What I can say is that it's only the Attorney General who has the power to prosecute someone who breaches the law. So it's not in the bosom of Parliament to prosecute. What we can only do as members of Parliament is to hold him before us. But unfortunately, the crime has been caused already. He has already destroyed our livelihood. In fact, the act, this singular act of printing 7.2% of GDP in 1 year in terms of revenue has pushed, according to the World Bank, 850,000 Ghanaians into the poverty line. It has not only done that. If you are to go further and drill down the numbers, you will notice that this singular act has also moved a number of Ghanaians from middle income to low income. And certain rich people have now become middle income. So the governor has messed us up big time he has imposed an illegal inflation tax on the people. Inflation is a tax. It is an illegal tax because it does not have legislation. The governor has imposed an illegal inflation tax on the people of Ghana. That is why today when you go to the market, things that you used to buy it 1 cedi, the next day you go in and you will notice that you are buying it at 5 Ghana cedis. Clearly, this takes away your disposable income and push you further line the poverty line. This is what the governor has done. We can't continue to allow these things to happen. What we are seeking to do now is to secure our country. He should first leave the scene because he has shown that he cannot stand firm for the people of Ghana. We've seen examples in other countries. We saw what Bernanke did in the United States. But what we are seeing here now is that we have seen a governor who has turned himself into a printer. He now owns a printing press. All what he does is to print money. We can't stand that. So we are asking him to leave, and he should leave now. And when he leaves, eventually we'll get a good governor. First of all, the first thing we are seeking to do now is to get him to stop the printing. Stop what he's doing, and then bring someone in, and let that person be aware that that predecessor lost his job because he failed to adhere to the Bank of Ghana Act, and that is the reason why we are letting him go. And finally, on the issue of what we have done, why we are calling on the governor, I don't think there's nothing else we can do. Simple put, the governor must go. We have stated here today that we have given him 21 days as the main opposition party for him to pack his bags and leave that secret place called Bank of Ghana. He should leave. 21 days because we think as a governor he will need at least 3 weeks to hand over properly. So we are being charitable. We've given him 21 days. He should immediately pack his bag, write his handing over, and leave the central bank. If he fails to leave the central bank, we are urging you all, the media, fellow countrymen and women, NDC, even MPP, they should join us. Let us occupy the central bank and ask the governor to leave the scene because he can't continue staying there. He has shown that he's incompetent. He doesn't care about livelihood of the central bank because clearly he has failed on the constitutional mandate of price stability. He single-handedly, working with his deputies, has run the central bank down. As if that is not enough, knowing that the central bank has collapsed, he has further gone out there to decide that he's going to build head office worth 3 billion Ghana cedis, 250 million US dollars at this critical time. So clearly, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. We all know what he has done. We saw how he has mismanaged our resources. Bank of Ghana's resources. I don't think he will manage his business the way he has managed. So, our friends from the media, it's clear that the central bank governor must go, and he will have to go now. 21 days start taking today. He should go. So help us in counting. In fact, Sami, you have to assist us to do the countdown. We have to count down when the governor must go, and he must go now. Thank you.
Yes, before we do the tree presentation, let me acknowledge the presence of the Member of Parliament for North Tonk, Ranking Member for Foreign Affairs, also Ranking Member for Scandals. The son of man, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, is here. And we have the Member of Parliament for Adaklu, our Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Kwame Abuja, is also here. Our former Director of Elections, former Deputy General Secretary, former Minister of Sports, Honorable Elvis Friankra, is also here with us. With regards to what would the MPs do if the Bank of Ghana fails to resign, I would just want our Minority Whip, who is in charge of whipping the entire Minority Caucus, to just say a word or two about that before we proceed.
Yes, thank you, Sami. And I think leader's position is quite clear. The Bank of Ghana is in crisis. It's self-inflicted. And this is orchestrated by President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia's government. When they fail to manage the economy, they basically turn the Bank of Ghana into a printing press, printing more money. The responsibility to prosecute the Bank of Ghana governor and anybody hold accountable is the Attorney General. But which of you here believes that Godfrey Dami is going to prosecute any member of President Akufo-Addo's government. It's not going to happen. But I can assure you that apart from the fact that the governor fears appearing before Parliament, in fact, he doesn't even like appearing before the Finance Committee of Parliament. He thinks he's only accountable to President Akufo-Addo. And the last time we needed to remind him that even the Finance Minister, upon all his escapades, is forced sometimes to appear before Parliament. So if the Finance Minister is bigger than you, how dare you not be able to appear before Parliament? Let him understand he is accountable to Parliament. And the 21 days is a long grace period. Which of you will believe that a Bank of Ghana in this level of crisis, self-inflicted, will be building a $250 million new headquarters? In fact, those of you who know Ridge Hospital, when President Mahama had the opportunity to lead this country, he built Ridge Hospital that you and I can use today. Right opposite of that hospital on the right-hand side is Bank of Ghana new headquarters. As if something is wrong with the old headquarters. You are broke. You have actually collapsed the economy. The next thing you do is to award a $250 million project. And guess what? That project is one of the fastest going projects in this country. Not hospital projects, not education projects, not road project. The fastest going project in this country is the construction of Bank of Ghana. So how can you tell us that the country is broke when the headquarters of Bank of Ghana is going on at a speed of light? It means that this is deliberate. What will we do after the 21 days? They shouldn't try us. We have options, like we always say. Our options are in our head. They should not try it, because we are capable of deploying options that will get him out of office by force if he refuses to go within the 21 days. And we are telling him he should not dare us, because we have the capability of driving him out of the office with your support. Thank you very much.
You've heard the Bank of Ghana blame their financial woes and the collapse of the central bank on the ongoing debt exchange program. The minority leader has something small to say about that, so take note.
Sammy, you are right. The governor in his address had said that as for him, he's done everything right, and we should blame it on Kanu Foriata and Dr. Bawumia for asking him to write government debt of about 48 billion off. Clearly, the Bank of Ghana in the year 2022 made a loss of 60 billion. Of this 60 billion, they wrote off about 48 billion, isn't it? So it tells you that even without the write-off, the governor, the actions of the governor and his inactions has actually collapsed the central bank ahead of the domestic debt exchange. So if you take 48 million from 60 billion, you still have about 12 billion. As we speak, the central bank has a negative equity of 55 billion Ghana cedis. Negative equity. Now, it means that they don't have any surplus, any money there. He is building a head office at a cost of $250 million. This simply means that he's printing additional money to finance the construction of the new head office. So this guy will not stop. And Kwame said that is the fastest growing building you all. Colleagues, fellow Ghanaians, our brothers and sisters from the media, that join us in this call. It is for us to secure our country. We need to secure our country. This is our motherland. We have no other country. We have to get this man out. Let us get a new governor, and let that governor come in and learn that the predecessor was pushed out for ABCD, so he will not go there. If we are not careful and we are to allow this governor to stay in the office, what will happen is that we will set bad precedent for future managers to do same and to destroy our livelihood. He has depleted Ghana's reserve to about 1 week of import cover. The finance minister informed us that even with the IMF money, additional drawdown from the IMF, by the end of the year, Ghana's net international reserve will be about 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Is this the governor we want to keep in office? He has messed us up so much that we cannot wait to see his back. 21 days time, we say bye-bye to the governor.
All right. Thank you. So At this stage, we'll just do a quick summary of the presentation of our speaker in Twi. This is also very important, so we just crave your indulgence to keep your cameras in position. Please remain seated. Abusuafo a yeshia wa ha te se de to mo anim no. Ene ye frame wa Bank of Ghana ehun komo ene ye pese anim di. Te se de mu nyina mu nim no. Afi etwa mu 2022 Bank of Ghana sika sem bebi ejina de ye friend no annual report and financial statements no. Bank of Ghana auditors for years and review ni nyina wie e de won krata ababonten na de wom ne ne ya frame mo se ye ne mo bedi hu komo na magana fo nyina hu Bank of Ghana gina bre na ebia na ebinum nim si ye ka Bank of Ghana eye adwuma yoku a omadwuma ho hia magana ye pa isan se ye nyina ye wo ye banks obi bank eye Eco Bank e ho no save ni sika obi bank ye Ghana Commercial Bank e ho no save ni sika o bank na hwe wo sika so na wo kire wo na opebesia wo bank ho na wokọ Ghana as on my ye bank ye banker and the Bank of Ghana. And unti se Ghana wa ho kire mu a ye bank ho ne ye betumi akọ, which is the Bank of Ghana. The atoso biem so no sa Bank of Ghana yi eno na banks ahodo e wo Ghana nyina hye na se. Enti bank bia e wo Ghana bia so bank ye Bank of Ghana. Banks e wo Ghana ye de sika atoto no mu nyina so sika e wo Bank of Ghana for nchen. Enti bank bia no n'adwuma wo ye bia no Bank of Ghana na hweso se omo be fa mra kwan so aye omo adwuma yie. Na se bank bi so kwa ho kire ne anwo ye hia mu a omo ni beebi akose Bank of Ghana na omo be kọ akwa enu nti NDC emra na yewura president Mahama wo akonwa so no ye de ebetumi aye bia se Bank of Ghana benya anwode na ejina brane. Enu nti ye fra akonwa so 2016 Bank of Ghana for omo bu omo nkonta na omo nya mfaso about $700 million. Omo amoka under President Mahama omo nya mfaso in 2016. Na enam President Mahama ne Bank of Ghana mpenyufo samre no Dr. Nasiru Dr. Siama no omunyuma panti no Bank of Ghana nya sika krati mi di si ayaresa bia kese ena okọ cantonment a ye wo Bank of Ghana Hospital emra fofi antoata yare boni coronavirus ebeto ye so ani yenya baabi mfa no eye sa Bank of Ghana yi a the nation builder Yewura Mahama ne Bank of Ghana for see no ene boa wo man no. In fact ye share Bank of Ghana sika sem yie mo ye omadwuma kama samre no Yewura to force a mote na no kasa enche bia no ono na esi NDC amanyokuo ene aban na nam e wo Bank of Ghana board so no mototo nyema yie ma 2016 enyuma pa bebreba mampanyi Mahama ban ye nyina no ya anye besia kapre not even one CD or one peso from the Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana ntwe sika one CD amaye eno ne yefra no zero financing from the central bank. Na che se yefra konwa so no na Bank of Ghana no ejina ne nanso ehie. Na we na yekoto aba wie ya yenkonkoti a o mampanya kufu ado ne na bedi eche ba womi ase empanyimfo a Yewura Mahama pa wo mo omutumi siesie Bank of Ghana sei no eye enwuma pa we nyina no MPP for de so omutumi ne omunya adwuma enti mo be kai omo tata Dr. Nashiru even though the governor and his deputies have security of tenure no omo tata omo ka so omutumi ne omunya adwuma e mo resign e no munim di omo pese omo ye no munim sikadi omo pese omo ye enti e wo se ye de impanyimfo a omo betumi aboa masa sikadie na koso no de kotena ho nti omo ye sa nwuma pama Bank of Ghana fa no ntuma pafira ye nyina no monko ye ntimi ni munya adwuma ena omo koye enei akwa wie se afi atwa mi so hwe Bank of Ghana enyema omo ye ne omo sika sembe bi egina Bank of Ghana no ene agu de enti agu ne se ene Bank of Ghana eye Ghana bandia
Government of Ghana is the sole shareholder. Now, aban e was aban no as the sole shareholder ni nya japade a ebetumi aso bank ni mu no. Ene ye sika ne ye japade nyina asa. Ama eka ye de no ye 55.1 billion. Eno ne negative equity a yewura ato forcing aka ho asem 55.1 billion. The atosu biem bank no nyuma omudi no 2022 no so sese a 2016 president Mama Breto munya mfaso $700 million Ghana cedis. Enei 2022 omaboka 60 billion Ghana cedis. So what they call old Ghana cedis are more than 6 quadrillion asem ne yeken. In dollars ebru $6 billion. Chese sika yehwehwe free IMF wo entia aban ese omo a wode wonka wontua oye debt restructuring pensioners for esu because aban se won sika e won nche wontua taxes ahodo aban dia begu ye so all the conditionalities ye to nkani abuom ye to nsuo buom ne de keka ho ni nyina no sa enyema ye nyina sika ye de pay ye $3 billion per. But within 1 year, Bank of Ghana boka a chain of ×2. Na obi be bisa say dia entina ya dru sa baby ya dru. Eno na ye wura fe atofo se a kyerem se. De di kan emra aban we ese Ghana sika sem nyina turu bosia bebrebe a omobo. Any sikedie basa omo ye since 2017 no. Na se Ghana ya ye bankrupt. Ye ni sika ye de betua ye nka. Ye ni sika ye de be ye bibia. Eno nti aban ko omo bankers which is the central bank. Se omo ntwe sika emfa ma wo mo. Na nka eno na nya bone. Ye Bank of Ghana Act na ya ye no section 30. Emma Bank of Ghana ho kwan se aban ko a ho kire mu saa. Omo na ya ban bankers omo tumi twa sika de boa wo mo na emom sika na amu twa no eni se eboro ohamu nchichemu enum 5% of aban sika wonya ye nyina the year before. So you cannot exceed 5% of the total revenue of the previous fiscal year, because the sika no wan we ye na utwa boro so bebre a ebe ye cost 90 work say the ya amrante ne ka no, because obi a wonim sika sem bia beka cho say Bank of Ghana twa sika bebre sa ema ade a ye fa no inflation nyema bo kosoro 10 na eno so eba ne sa etua oka as adwumayeni a usika no esu ni emfaso bia, because ade a na sika ni timi ye no entumi nye biem, it will totally erode incomes na ede ahokyira ba enti parliament eye mbransa no mo ye no say aban kwa ho kire mu a wo betumi abo aban as Bank of Ghana besika na wo twa no fanyansa to ho entwa moro 5% sebi na say o boro sa 5% ne so a governor no entwe krata nkobo Minister of Finance amane no nkobo Ghana ya nam sifu a wo mra hye bedwem amane say sika aban pese ye twa mo no ya do 5% of the total revenue of the previous year. Eno nti mon kire de yenye. But 2021, they said yeah, you were to force in Kaya. Bank of Ghana sika and my buying way 35 billion cedis. Titisika no 3.5 trillion. And you're printing a grrr near Cesar my buying. But we have more. Sika do I wasn't come with my buying. Can you say a bro 2.8 billion? Because not 2020 the year before, no. Minus sika ye nyina the friend total revenue no e 55 billion. It is 5% they say bro 2.8 billion. Now they come on 5 billion be pre ko 35 billion. Yan cash intino no money say Ghana for the omo rebe fintino 2022 almost omo be more. And on so we twa 45 billion. And also what's the total revenue for 2021 no na 76 billion. It means say komu twa sika kra ma ne bro 4 billion. And also so ometwa 45 billion. Omutwa sikai ma owura bawomia kendo foria to mampenye kufuado ne MPP fuo ewie ya ya hu de omodi sika ye ni okurum ha afei omako Bank of Ghana for so sika na mutwa man na ye ka bone ye ntimi ntua ko Bank of Ghana twa sika ma wo a e say de bank ama obosi ye ka e wo se wutua na sa sika no bank ni timi nya na ade aban so ntimi ntua enti sika ni mu 48.4 billion Bank of Ghana say o ya na etwa ma mo ye de achem na busi ma sika no mutwa na nya Ghana fo sika no mu di twae sa wutwa sika wo paper ink security features I can nyina no na je say aye kwa abo men de omudi sika ne ye nyina so aye kwa enti sika no simply put omudi sika no omuntu minya entua sika ne nyina ahye na saade we na NDC amanyuko ye kase eye asem we ye very serious am say Ghana for be bradwen koso because eno na ma ho kira ba Ghana no last year asem we ya mpomponso anyama bo koso inflation rate koso akodu 54.1%. Ya no ma ye mbabu no aye wo ye 30 si ye hu bibi sa da die nti na ba sa e because say Bank of Ghana no koso twa sika sa enti na woji usika wo kodwom a entimi ntohwe na ye ho akire ye no ase no we na ama na basa na we sika ye twa ma omo a in just 2 years President Mahama betena konwa so 4 years bosia wo bo ye nyina ni mpuntu a wo ye nyina sika ode ye ni 4 years enuru sika ye twa ma Bank of Ghana ye twa ma ban we in 2 years enuru but omo de o metwa abro edi abusuafo de ye ka gida nza sa de we tia Ghana fo mra obroni se eye criminal obia enkohwe section 67 of Bank of Ghana Act se ubu emre bia ewo Bank of Ghana mra ni mu a wa commit criminal offense na ye di wasem no ebu awfo a we are liable to a fine of 500 penalty unit not exceeding 500 penalty unit and also betimi akoda afiase for at least or maximum 2 years enti ye radison ne ne deputies Bank of Ghana board there omo ye jail bound because clearly no obi a won ko school nkosu amra kora ni said your maye no o ma bo man ne kro no o ma di o man na wu o ma tietie o man ne mra so and this constitutes a crime na o ka o mo so COVID-19 ba na emergency nti na o mo yesa eno so enya no kre because mra no mra she bedwafo ye no o mu say emergency bi betumi aba enti o mo di shemu subsection 6 of section 30 of the Bank of Ghana Act say sempo emergency bi ba na ban hia se Bank of Ghana fo betwa sika bibira ma omo a eboro 5% no so a Bank of Ghana finance minister omon transfer omon setting new ceiling no omon kobo parliament for amane manye bibia asa enti wontumi nyusu COVID and any so called emergency as the excuse. Now we can Bank of Ghana for no issue statement 4 pages ten almost enye hwe na okwa amama bi so a almost central banks aboka abusuafo sa amama ya omobobo odi no mo hwe omo statement ro mu nyina ya amama ya omo sikasem ejina ne na so these are industrialized countries and as amama no emumu bia ni wo omo tietia omo central bank emra so committed crimes said they are buying we aye enti sa asem ne de emamu kra because ade na amaye no e de ahokyira ba ene nipa bebre ebre because of that na bra na be chirechirem ana resign ya wo ba be justify by engaging in equalization dia na che se uni obu kra magana for na abusuafo me de ma no si ne de ehu wa asem ni mu ne se senka banks e wo Ghana ibi ena o matietia Bank of Ghana Act so ena o maboka 60 billion anka Bank of Ghana o ma bank na tena ko mungu no wo Bank of Ghana wo na wo e wo se wo hwese banks e wo Ghana nyina no o mo be comply with emra e hwe banking sector so the Bank of Ghana Act and the Specialized Deposit Taking Act ne de keka Bank of Ghana mo na wo se mona mukita ba mo yese bank bia be di mra no so na wo bu mra no so wo be na akoreti obi a wo bu mra so he said what moral authority na Bank of Ghana was so betumi aka say ogu bank bi ni nyina no eni wo biem na busuafo de ehu ni say Emra Bank of Ghana mpanyimfo hu say yewura bawomia ne MPP aban mu mpanyimfo kedofori ata ne yakufo adom edidi omo ho no omo so yese sika no omo so bedibi enti yakoye edibi ma menibi because omo so ye twa sika ne ma aban kwa na edi ekai kura so omo ntua ebeye bad debt ne writing it off enti yaso de ne yebeye enti omo fra bibi operational expenses ewa na omo start say o we ne yeso yebefa nyansa kwan bi so ne yedisika. And you correct 2020 annual report and financial statement in one. Bank of Ghana for say last year for Ghana for Muntie. Omo kasa e ho to chima a omo de call fita for so omo nya ho adwuma car maintenance nko a 131 million cedis. Tetisika no 1.3 trillion. And omo de ma fita for omo de sisi omo car. Just say yes san oil. Ye change bibi ase ye teacher ties 1.3 trillion areho enya no nko a omo se sika nko a chese omo so sua omampanyi kufuado ene ne dibida me ni bi na meka no go omampanyi utwa sika ma no a de na ode chata wiem hyen enti Bank of Ghana for no so omo so betu kwan enti akwantu omo tu kwa ma no ne didi omo tu no Ghana de omo fa African world dia ye nyina ye fa ibi ene e ba ku ye ka hoyi passion so domestic travels and they according to omutu kwa abrochire last year nko almost 97.4 million cedis titisika no 974 billion and omudi tu kwan dibima mindi bi na meche mu no ewi eche almost oh ye fra bibi computer expenses ye nima de kro omudi computer ye na buju abo say wo to computers nko mako 1 million kra eka Bank of Ghana for ese o mabọ no enya de a ebetumi aba ne sa omo the computer expenses nko ano 67 million cedis titisika no 670 billion old Ghana cedis enya no nko omo se mo nsentro for mo ni mu di nkita ho it is a mo kra ne bia na sika ni bia ba mo ye fa no communication expenses eno so omo se ho kalasia nko a o 32 million cedis sikano 320 billion omudi tu asole yes yeah the man says the communications ubet my communications will chrome without in some trouble enti eye ani presem kese na de ehuni company bia emu mpanyufo dwen company ne ho no se company ne ko awonyehia ne awokyere mu a mpanyufo no dwen company ne ho ni to mo tie o makatua so because company ni sika sama yeden asay enti obu nyina tete o makatua so we di anya ya no Philip Addison ene ni mpanyifo Bank of Ghana egu omo boka mo no omo se yebeto ya katua mu enti omo nko last year directors no board directors ne keke wo omo di sika omo di tua omo ka no omo akeka bom ekosi 8.6 million cedis sika no 86 billion. And what they no compare 2021 na ketu omo je ya into munu increment no ye 68%. In 1 year omo to omo salary mu 68%. Ghana adwuma ye ni ben na 1 year ye to na ketu am 68%. E just say dibi ma me ni bi aban ni di iti ma me so me nya den me ni bi wan na be kwa akoka na ye ka ni say no obi so NDC for kra mo pekasa emfa me ho efa ho because a kana babeto no why na betua eno na ye wura to force ya kire mu no ye ene ye betua this aban ne so mo de tuo bi beba ye ba betua sika se Bank of Ghana agu nti ye ntuatua to ne ye ngege ne ye mfa nkoso o masen na why na di sika na ama Bank of Ghana agu no aban ba kwa mo ba ye de mo de mo nsa beka bia na masen no ene cocoa board mo gu no ene snit ya gu no PBC maguno, Gihawk maguno, GMPC maguno, Bank of Ghana omu chesika, Bank of Ghana omu chesika so ene maguno. Enti minu mienu already ye so fat your ma ye no hunsunsanso because adie se nyina no inflation kosoro. Ti kodwo mu a ene Gino rice ukoto 5 kg bag almost 200 Ghana. Oh dokoro boa ekosoro emo boa ekosoro aburo bag boa ekosoro ni nyina ye sika na o matwa bu system ni mu a and o masa nso convert yakọ dollars no mo di ahyehyɛ o mo pass so efa ye ho enenu nti Ghana fo ne ye ne anidaso bi ase NDC mrahye bedwafo a o mo ye donkuma wo mrahye bedwam o mo na o mutimi gina konkodema Ghana ye mo ye nsema members of parliament for the NDC and o mo panyimpa de atodwa se yewura Addison o mamma no enna adronu ba ko 21 days na wotwe miensa one ne deputies ni nyina o mo starting try o mo resignation letter o mo handing over bia wo so mo ye bia wo so mo ye na o mo nko na afoforo mra o mo yes ne saa e bia o mo beti ye nka biem na ye 2025 a president Mahama ba be di akonwa afi de ye frɛ o mo se o mo meyi o mo ho ano e wo mra na o matietia so because I know de e beba so dole obi ani wo obro mra so it is a Bank of Ghana Act is even to be interest sika mro 5% of the total revenue of the previous year na why en saa de a and here you must answer for that but animanimu ya no so o mo koso tena ho a and here ye be wie 2023 e wie 2024 no ahwe a wo be ka se car maintenance nko an no mo de be 1 billion Ghana cedis na ye because of her trajectory na kwa no mo expenses na ekosoro sikadie no kwa na ye den ekosoro 2021 omo printed 35 billion 2022 45 billion into 2023 nkofo ya nko no mo te ombe print sen ahwe 100 billion na say oman no ebebo enu nti minority chief whip so akabi ato so say omaka no omo behwe se obe resign na one resign ya so omo frɛ na wo se omma because omu nipa bia na wo na watwa sika nya sika tamsi a nkamra hye bedwafo frɛ wa ka abekɔ but omo so wa ma omo betoa no wo ne office wo na omo be make sure so obe resign ebusuafo de atwa to ni ene Bank of Ghana agu e ka mene bank no sika omo atwa ma aban so ntumi ntua bank ndi sika kakra so a ye di no basa ma kyerɛkyerɛm honorable Atoforsen de ho facts nyina maye na de atwa ya wom wo se Ghana fo nyina ye original ene adenwanwa bi a Bank of Ghana fo so omo ye ene ya ye wa ho kyerɛ ne ahuyehia mu a economy na crash pensioners for omo makọ omo ahomegye mu omo ahomegye sika aban kra pese ode ne sa to so omo de omo sika abo aban besi aban si ontua e ka mene Ghana obi aso omo ye besia ukodwomu a ene woton wa ye nto nipa bre adwuma ni ho there is a freeze on public sector employment as we speak mabunu hu de omo be ye sika kakra na Bank of Ghana fo betumi atwa me ye de aye bibi papa so a omo so omo de kwa akosi head office foforo omo kosi abronsan atoato so aye ni nyina hwehwe dan foforo akwa akotenem mo Bank of Ghana dan abusuafo ye nyina so ye hu chima ben na wo ho edan ya mutimu amo ye adwuma no na modidi sikei problem bi ani ho na eno krom na moti a mo se mo de 32 million cedis na ye communication expenses akwantu owu sika nko a 97 million na de mo kotena dan mo no ni mu eno ye nhwehwe ne de na mo be that is a complete misplaced priority. The Bank of Ghana here and nay enye new head office. Sika kakra na omo wo no e wo se e di siesie bank no. Na BBC a bank na tinya ye na dwuma. Bank bi kura kwa ho kire mu a Bank of Ghana tinya aboa no. Say banks yi nyina mutie yewura to force in the debate on the floor media budget reviewer. Banks ni nyina e boka in the billions. Banks e wo Ghana nyina. Na wo Bank of Ghana na wo yo mo bank omo kwa wo chiro mo ba beboa no wo so wo boka kasiesi wonwe e no ho wo se wo kwa kwesi new head officer e no de adabraka ye mpene so ne empene so china nti ye frame a na de wo ho nyina no ye da mo ase na ye hwe ni mu se owura no wamfa na dwuma nto a the entire 137 members of parliament supported by well-meaning patriots Ghana for Yebeka omo ne anante akọ the offices of Bank of Ghana. They are making sure that we will occupy the Bank of Ghana. Anopa ekosi adeche we will occupy there until Addison dey adwuma beto. Because how dey we or maybe anyway si wo mu a ye dey ho bechew. and in this Ghana for your so you bet now was the yet one year ni hai a more on the boat or mine cry. Yadam was it.
Okay.